Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alex Radford, and today I'm joined with my colleague Laura, who's based up in our Ciudad Quesada office. Hi, Laura, how are you?
Hi, very well. How are you keeping?
Very good, thank you, very good. So Laura's based up in the Ciudad Quesada office, which is our regional office for the Costa Blanca and north of Spain, and I'm based down in sunny Marbella, Costa del Sol, capital of the Costa del Sol, arguably. So today we are going to be talking about donating a Spanish property. And I'm going to ask the questions and hopefully Laura will know most of the answers. Okay. Right.
I hope so.
Let's start off with them. So, okay, Laura, let's start with, what is a donation and what does it entail?
Well, so basically a donation is when someone transfers their assets to somebody else. Okay. This could be a property, it could be money, or it could be a car. Okay, so it's important to have two things into account. First thing is that a donation has to be done before a public notary because you need to do it through a deed, and this deed needs to be registered at the land registry. This is very important if we're talking about property because property needs to be registered at the land registry. If it was a car or if it was a donation of money, then it's not important. I mean, it's not essential to do this deed. But it is important to do it if you want to benefit from the tax allowances.
Okay, so when we're talking about donating, we're talking about property, cars, money in a bank account. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and yes. if someone wants to do that, what do they have to do? I mean, can I just, for example, if I wanted to give you 50,000 euros, can I do that, or do I have to go to a notary? What's the procedure?
Yes, I mean, you could just do the transfer, but if you wanted to take advantage of these allowances, then it's important to sign it before a notary. Basically, you go before a notary in Spain with all the people involved, the person who's giving away the money and the person who's receiving it, and you do this in a public deed.
Okay, so if someone can't come to Spain, we of course then can act for both parties using a power of attorney. So long as they're in total agreement about what they're donating and then what taxes are paid. So talking about taxes, how much does this cost?
Well, so there are two taxes involved when donating. The first one is on the end of the person who's giving away, which is the plusvalia. Okay, the plusvalia tax is something that's paid every time you transfer the property, either through a sale, through an inheritance, or through a donation. This is paid by the person who's giving it away. On the other hand, the person who receives it will pay the donation tax. Okay, donation tax is very similar to inheritance, but it has some slightly differences. For example, in Comunidad Valenciana, where we're based, the tax allowances are applicable to relative members. The inheritance tax is applicable to children, grandchildren, and spouses. Okay, whereas the donation tax is not applicable to spouses. So if you're thinking of donating the property to your spouse to put the deeds on their name, we would have to look at different options because in this case it would be a different process.
Okay, so basically, right, if I donated a property to you, then I'm going to pay. Then we're going to pay the plus. I'm giving it to you, so I will pay the plusvalia because that's my kind of local capital gains tax, and then you will receive a tax based on you'll have to pay tax based on receiving that asset.
Yes.
Okay, and then just so everyone's aware, in Spain there are 17 different autonomous regions, and we act for clients buying, selling, and inheriting property and donating property in all of those regions, or most of those regions, from up in Galicia over to Catalonia, down to Andalusia, Murcia, and the Valencian region where Laura is based, and obviously the Canaries and the Balearic Islands. So each region has a different tax rate. So give us an example, Laura, of how much someone would pay if they donated a property in Spain, in the Valencian region, say for 100,000 euros. Yeah.
Yeah. So in Comunidad Valenciana, we have at the moment an allowance of 100,000 euros. Okay, this means that everything you receive up to this threshold will be free of donation taxes. Okay, and everything that exceeds that amount would be charged. For example, if you were donating a property of 150,000. Then the tax would be around 5,000 euros. Okay, and if the property was worth 200,000, the tax would be around 12,500.
Okay. And Laura, is that a donation to a family member, or is that to anyone?
Yes. So as I was saying, this donation tax, this allowance in donation taxes, it's applicable to relative members, which are children, grandchildren, parents, and grandparents, but not spouses. So anyone within those can benefit from this allowance of 100,000.
But Laura, but not spouses.
Not spouses, no. In Comunidad Valenciana, no. There are other regions where this is applicable, but not in our region.
So if I wanted to give, if I own a property with my wife in the Valencian community, and I want to give 50% to my wife, how is that different?
That would be, I mean, it could be a donation, but she would have to pay taxes. If this is okay, she could pay those taxes, but in some cases, this is not, tax-wise speaking, this is not advisable. So instead, it would be a sale.
Okay, so in effect, depending on the relationship of who is donating and who is receiving, the taxes are different. So we have to find out we have to calculate how much those taxes will be.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's fine. So for example, down here in the Andalusian region, you can donate and inherit up to a blood relative. So, and this is a direct descendant or ascendant. So grandchildren, children, parents they've got an allowance of up to €1 million. Okay. And then they pay tax after that, but there's discounts and bonuses on that as well. So that's why, it's important we distinguish between the different regions. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, okay, that's fine. And how is the price of the property calculated now? Because we had that new law that came into force in January.
Yes, indeed. We're talking about the reference value. Okay, so this is a value given by Catastro. It started this year, January this year. And this is basically the amount that we need to take into account, because the tax will be declared on this value. Okay, this value sometimes is very similar to the market price, but sometimes it's not. Okay, so we should always declare this price. However, we also find out which is the actual market value and which was the price that the property was bought for. Because this way we can foresee if you're going to be paying capital gains tax in the future, if the person who's receiving the property wishes to sell it in the future. And we also know more or less which is the actual price, because we need to know if this is accurate with the reference value or not. Okay, but the main thing, as you said, is the reference value, which is applicable to our purchases and donations and everything at the moment.
Okay, and then so why would someone donate a property to someone else? Why would they do that?
Yeah, so basically this is a way of preparing or planning your inheritance beforehand. Okay, so what most people do generally is to sign a will, and in the future the inheritors need to either come to Spain or look for someone to do this on their behalf. So this entails a lot of hassle for the inheritors, especially if they are abroad and they need to contact someone in a foreign country. And sometimes we know that there are always disputes between inheritors. So to avoid all of that, if you know for sure that you're giving it away to your children or grandchildren, it's always advisable to do this beforehand, because this way you are part of this kind of distribution of your assets, and you make things a lot easier for your inheritors as well.
Well, that's honestly, Laura, that's a great way of explaining it. So in effect, what you're doing is you're distributing your estate now before you've died. So you know that the people that you want to inherit actually do inherit.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So that's good. And the taxes, are they, apart from the spousal taxes we talked about, but are the taxes like for children and grandchildren, is it similar? Are the taxes similar as if the donation to the inheritance, are the taxes similar?
Yes, tax-wise speaking, there's no difference between inheriting or donating. The main thing, as I said, the advantage here would be that it is done beforehand. It's always good to look, because every situation is different, and we could have some cases where the property price is very, very high, or there are many assets and it's worth a lot. So maybe it would be advisable to do a part donation of the properties, can benefit from this allowance, and then in future benefit from the other allowance of inheritance, which is the same.
Okay, that's fine. So something else to bear in mind is that in other countries in Europe, if a donation happens here, then obviously taxes are paid here. But that also, if they're resident in that country, sometimes the value of the properties in Spain are included in the value of their estate in their home country. So one of the advantages of completing a donation as well is that when you donate a property, you reduce the value of your estate for your home country purposes as well. And you've got to just double check on the taxes that may be payable in your home country. For example, I, as an English solicitor, aware with some of the laws relating to the UK, so that we've got in the UK what's known as a PET, which is a potentially exempt transfer. So if you donate a property to someone, and it can be anyone, and you live for more than 7 years, then you don't pay inheritance tax. Okay, so in effect, yes, they would pay tax here potentially, or a reduced tax depending on the value and the relationship between the person who's donating the property or giving some money to them. But for example, in the UK, that would reduce their UK inheritance tax liability. So it's a win-win. And what we are also doing is, Laura's busy up in the Costa del Sol acting for clients buying, selling property. And what we are talking to people about is, if they're not going to move to Spain lock, stock and barrel, and they want to buy a property for family usage, then sometimes it is a good idea to put the property in the children's names right from the start, so long as they're over the age of 18, and the people donating the money or giving the money actually reserve what's known as a life interest, so they cannot be evicted from the property. So they would own that property for the duration of their life. When they die, it would automatically pass over to the legal owners, which could be the children. So that's really only suitable, I think, if you're not moving to Spain. If you're moving to Spain to live, I'd say buy the property in your own names. But if it's a holiday home, that's certainly an option. Obviously, beware of death, debt, and divorce of the people who are going to own the property. Okay, Laura, anything else?
No, that's basically it. As we said, to do this, you can do it either going personally at the notary in Spain and sign it, or if you're not planning to come here, or if it's easier to gather everyone in a foreign country, you could put a power of attorney into place, and then we could act on your behalf and sign this deed in Spain for you.
And if someone wants to donate a property, the best thing to do is that they send us an email to enquiries@mylawinspain.com or costablanca@mylawinspain.com, and they send us a copy of the town hall rates bill and a copy of the deeds, and they let us know that, who owns the property and who they wish to donate the property or monies to, and then we can prepare a calculation for them on potential taxes and costs involved in that transaction.
Yes, indeed, we can do that.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I think that's short and sweet, brings it to the end today.